Alright, this is the first video of the year. We're a little less than a week away from the draft, and today we're just all about good vibes, much love to everybody. Let's get the season off on its right foot. But before that, help me welcome to the screen your editor, your cameraman, your commissioner, your pop singing sensation, and most importantly, your host, yours truly, Lil Stank.
Think you know me?
Alright, so apparently I was a little too loud in the other room for the children to be able to sleep, so we're going to do something a little different. Alright, so as we've already said, we're a little less than a week away from the draft, the official start to our season. We've got two things we need to look at first, though. The first of those things is this idea for a pre-draft combine. Now look, right off the bat, Morgan, what the fuck, dude? Know your lane, right? You're not even freshly cemented yet. Side note, I do want to suggest a rule where we have no proposed rule changes from first year players or, junior members. With all that being said, I fucking love this idea. I think we should definitely do the pre-draft combine. I do agree with Brian. I think we need to get rid of the written portion because that's just going to bring in having to weight certain parts versus others. I think that's stupid. Let's just do it for speed all the way through. I'll bring a couple of dumbbells and we'll do, a couple of sets on each arm instead of the written test part. Because if we do the written test, I'm doing the same thing as Brian. I'm not even reading the questions. I'm just answering and moving to the next part. It's stupid. But yeah, overall, I think it's a good idea. So this next issue is one that I felt had to be addressed, both for the journalistic integrity of this program as well as the overall integrity of our league. So a couple weeks ago, Blake asked what should have been a simple, innocent question in the group chat. The question, interestingly enough, was unable to be answered other than one that we'll get to a little bit later. Brian responded with a defensive reply of, I think, something like, why does it matter? I don't know if the wheels had spun far enough for him to realize what Blake was getting to. So what happened then was one investigator was led down a trail of deceit, lies, and blatant disregard for the parliamentary procedure that this league is founded upon. This investigative process also uncovered a grassroots movement trying to restore faith in our league. So the question, in case any of you have forgotten, was, when was Johnny voted out of the league? So nobody was able to put a clear answer on the board, and with all of the noise and bullshit in the group chat, I found it easier to individually ask a couple of our members these questions. Off camera, I asked Blake, and as you can see by him asking the initial question of when was it done, he had no clue. I also was able to get Justin and ask him the same question. These are his responses. So you were there at the night when Nick's celebration of life was held, correct?
I was there. Yes, that is correct.
Was there on the record now, was there a vote to remove Johnny that night?
If there was a vote, it happened before I got there, which would mean there was not a quorum if I wasn't present. Because when I asked, is Johnny gone? I didn't get a vote. I heard from Brian, oh yeah, he's out or I am.
If that's true, that should have fucking been the end of it right there, really. I mean, Justin even said so later, but admitted that I believe there was a lack of testicles present that prevented someone from, making what should have been the easy call when you're saying, abandon the rules of your league or I leave. Fucking bye, douchebag, right? Although I don't know if Justin realizes that he would also be in that collective lack of testicles group. So you're telling me that you didn't vote to participate in a quorum? Is that what you're saying?
I did not.
In all honesty, there was a lot more video than that. There was a lot of dead air time. It really was not watchable. Justin did reiterate once again there was no quorum. He responded to Brian saying that Johnny quit by saying, no, your bald ugly ass ran him off for infractions that were never infractions we expelled someone for before. And lastly, we did address the one response as to when Johnny was voted out that was given. So the response was from Mitchell. Any of you that didn't grow up in the same cow shit, beer gut infested landscape that like 5 of us in this league grew up in may not be aware of this. By growing up, it has always been accurate 100% of the time to assume if there was something that only Mitchell could remember or only Mitchell was, there to witness, there's a pretty good chance that shit's made up. So, just on the weight of history, I'm kind of willing to throw that answer out. If he's the only one that remembers it, yeah. I do think, however, that Mitchell's smart enough to be able to see in real time the infractions in parliamentary procedure that are being unveiled in the group chat and try to steer the, investigation one way or the other just to avoid the shit that comes from it. So I think that's probably what happened. By the way, in case any of you didn't know, Mitchell is driving from far away for this draft, so just make sure everybody knows that. He wants to get that out there. And Mitchell Justin wants some grass, like not this grass, but like actual grass he can put on his lawn because heat wave, drought, all of ours died, and he said you promised him some grass or some shit. So, in response to these things happening to our league, Justin has launched a grassroots campaign to, in his words, right the wrongs that have occurred and to attempt to hold accountable those parties, either through ways of expulsion or some other punishment. He names specifically Brian, Blake, Mitchell, but his first step has been to launch a campaign to remove Brian. On a side note, Brian did make clear, since he apparently is making a lot of rules up on the fly lately, he said there are only 5 members whose vote counts for this. There's 2 for removing him, last I checked, so, The following video was paid for by Justin's Political Action Committee. Americans for Justin, against Brian. For America. Get out the vote, show him the road. Brian's a bitch, she's gotta go. Lick my ball sack. No, obviously all this is unofficial. It's good fun. I mean, removing Brian would mean we'd have to fill another spot, and if Johnny's not open to it, then I think we'd struggle with it. So, for the time being. However, I do want to say that I am officially using my position as commissioner to censure Brian. Brian, you are here now censured. I condemn you strongly, and you are removed from any committees which you may have spots on. Bah. Thanks again to Brian for hosting the draft. You got fire?
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Look what you just made me do. Look